Greetings, DMs, GMs, and players. This is the Insomniac GM, and I just got off of work, and I've been waiting to make this video since the last one. So this is another Geeking with Insomniac. This time, I'm not going to make a 2-second long video. I'm going to give you a little more information on why I'm geeking out about these books, but I want to still keep it relatively short too. So back when I got the last Geeking with Insomniac book purchases I showed, I took advantage of Target's buy two get one free deal and then also another sale. So these were the last two books that came in with that. So like I've stated before, Pathfinder 2nd Edition, it's my favorite system, and when I started up Pathfinder 2nd Edition, a lot of my players wanted to make characters with guns because that was kind of like the popular thing in Pathfinder 1st Edition with my group. Well, unfortunately, there weren't guns at the time. Well, now in Guns and Gears, you can have guns. You also have the Inventor class where you can, if you've played Starfinder, it's pretty much just the mechanic class. But if you've played 5th edition, it's more of, I'm trying to remember the subclass. It's been a while since I played 5th, but it's like the Artificer class where you have the construct that fights by you, not the little portable one that can like shoot and that, but that's pretty much what the Inventor class is. I mean, there's other uses to it. Can also be like the armor Artificer in 5th edition. But so yeah, this book provides two classes. It provides equipment. It provides, I guess you could say, Pathfinder's version of a Warforged. It also provides rules for different types of vehicles and whatnot. I'm excited because I know that my players are gonna like eat up this book. So there's that one. The next one is the Grand Bazaar. For this one, it's pretty much the ultimate equipment book, like Pathfinder 1st Edition. However, this one has more flavor. It shows you the, like, we'll flip through real quick. Like, it'll show you, like, different stores, who runs it, what kind of wares they have, and, yeah, I will say, like, I find that nice, but I also kind of find it to get in its way too, because going through the beginning, like, it's all divided up by the stores themselves. I much rather have it divided up by like the equipment, like weapons here and rods and all that, but it's still a good book. I'm looking forward to see what my players do with the equipment there. So yeah. Now, Dungeon Crawl Classic. I got this when I went to Free RPG Day. Now, this is a book I've been wanting to pick up for some time. This thing is a monster compared to the other, and it is an OSR game. So when you play this game at level 0, you make more than one character. I believe you start off with 4 unless your DM says otherwise, but so you make 4 characters, and the DM runs you through a scenario, and whatever character is left levels up to level 1, and they become more experienced. And it kind of gives you like this appreciation. You may make a baker at level 0, and they're the only one who survives, and you're like, oh my gosh, my baker, he's badass, you know. So but that's not the big selling point with us. This game actually uses a weird dice, which because I bought this, I had to buy these. So they come with, or they use DCC dice. So you got stuff like the D5 or the D3, D7. But they use that, and how it works too is they use, like 5th edition, advantage, disadvantage. So say like a player is going to roll a d20, well, now they, you know, the DM gives them advantage. So instead of a d20, they roll a d24 instead of having them roll 2 dice. And once again, if they get another thing of advantage, they can roll a d30. It stacks. But same thing with disadvantage. There may be more uses for the dice than that. I really only got to skim through this monster. But one thing that is really sick with this book, I'm hoping I can just happen to flip through a page, but I'm not. Okay, I can't find it. The spells. The spells have levels of success. So, like, you go to cast Enlarge. If you roll, like, say, a 30 or something like that, now your teammate's a colossal-sized party member or whatever, etc. I would love to sell this book to you guys so much more, but I still have not gotten through this whole thing. So the next book I got was Deities and Demigods. So one of my issues I've had with playing fantasy settings is that there is a cosmology, and I probably said that wrong, but but it just seems like a lot of players I see, I mainly see this issue in 5th edition. Players will create a cleric who doesn't really worship their god, doesn't really talk about their god. They get a free handout. And personally, I feel like with the gods, if you're that faithful, you should, if you have those powers, you should be very faithful to those gods. So there should be rules, kind of like the commandments and that. And this book develops that more for me. Now, it's not just the like Forgotten Realms gods. It has Greyhawk. It has Nordic. It has Greek. And I can just take that and use it in my other editions. I have the Pathfinder version, and now I got the Dungeons and Dragons version, and I'm happy that I finally have this one in my collection. So the next, I have a lot of PDFs also, and frankly, I wanted to, after the success of actual monsters from Grim Gym. I knew whatever else he made, I could easily sell to my players to play. So I went and I bought some of his PDFs. I don't want to buy the physicals until I know what I'm getting into. So PDF wise, I got yeah, by the way, I printed these out so I could talk about them. But PDF wise, I got Tales of Gore. For this role-playing game, just like DCC, I haven't really gotten to look at it like that. But in Tales of Gore, I believe you roll a d6. I know there's a big thing about how, like, gender and all that plays like a big role in the game. It's more of a setting from what I saw, but it also has game mechanics, but I'm not doing this justice. I promise you, once I actually read it, I will talk about it in greater detail. I also picked up his punk game. So with it, you can create your own, what would you call it? Punk game? Cyberpunk, whatever. So he has rules set out for you to design your own. It's probably the smallest book of all of them that I'm showing you, but that's what it's for. It's a tool set. Now, I also got Machinations of the Space Princess. I have heard so many good things about this one. And, you know, I was curious about it, so I finally ended up buying it. And I don't want to do him a disservice and compare it to 3rd edition D&D, but it has some aspects of like 3rd edition D&D mixed with like OSR. I guess you could say it is a more simplified and lethal version of like Starfighter, but I mean that in like a positive way. So yeah, there's Machinations of the Space Princess. I also bought Daikaiju Dye. Now, this one I did not actually read. Yeah, like I haven't even attempted to read it because, frankly, I'm not a fan of Evil Hat, and this is a supplement for Evil Hat. So originally I was just gonna go on eBay and see if I could find like Fate. That way I could buy it without giving them my money. But I found out that you can actually get the PDF of Fate on drive-thru for free. So I finally bit the bullet and I downloaded that. I have yet to read this, and I already have. I've always wanted to run a kaiju campaign, and I already have an idea on how I want to go about it. So there's that. Now, there is Blood. I think out of all of these, this is going to be the one that's the easiest for me to sell to my players, because Daikaiju Dye, my players know I'm not crazy on Fate or Evil Hat, so I know they're going to be hesitant about me running something I don't like. Machinations of the Space Princess, they're fans of Starfinder. As for the rest, like I'm not as versed on them, but compared to Blood, I love horror games. I love horror movies. I love reading horror. And so this one speaks to me a lot. It's not my favorite horror system, but I love what I've seen about it. And from what I was reading, I thought I saw they said this was like a second edition. Like Grim Jim contacted the original creators to make a sequel to it. So for this game, like from what I remember reading about it, because I read it like some time ago, it's like a zombie game and all that, but it's very gory. It has mechanics where you're bleeding out, and it out of all the horror games I have, this is the one that actually focuses on mutilating the players or the monsters, and just you can be gruesome with the bloody details. So I like that. Now, the last RPG I just got in the mail today, and I have been wanting to get this forever now, but one thing with me, I don't like paying a whole lot. So I've sat on not buying this RPG for a long time until now, where I found it cheap. And that would be TSR's Marvel Superheroes, or Phase Rip. Now, I want to do a video on Marvel Phase Rip. I have seen people just take the system and run Star Wars through it. I've seen them take the system and run a Western, etc. Now, it seems almost like universally agreed that this is the best superhero tabletop role-playing game. And I would even argue that it's probably one of the best generic games, if you would call it that. I think you could easily rerun this through something. So I'm not really going to skim through the book for this, but to sell it to you, on the back is your stats. So how this works, let me grab my D100. There we go. Okay, so let's say you're playing Spider-Man and you're fighting the Green Goblin. And the Green Goblin, or the Spider-Man, has an amazing strength. So Spider-Man goes to punch the Green Goblin. So you look on the chart, amazing, and you roll. So I got an 82. So you come over here, 82. So I got a yellow. So I hit the Green Goblin with ease. Now, you don't tell the DM, oh, I got an 82. It goes, with great ease, Spider-Man swings his amazing fist right at the Green Goblin. And the stats are all just used with words. You don't use numbers like that. The only numbers you really use in this game, other than like the roll that you don't actually say the number on, you use numbers for your health, and I'm trying to think of what the other thing was called, but essentially, like, you get points based on how you're received by, like, the people of New York and that. Like, you may be, like, doing evil, you're gonna go down. If you do good, you go up. And there's a whole community for this game where they've come up with so many rules. I've seen a conversion for Star Wars. I've seen people statted out all the Marvel characters, all the DC characters. Personally, my favorite is Spawn, and I saw they like statted him out, and I love the thematic feel of this game, and I am so happy I finally got this in my collection. So, out of all of these games, I would like to hear in the comments what one interests you the most. If you would like to see a video on one of these, I can talk about it in greater detail to you. And what RPGs have you guys gotten as of recently? Well, until next time, take care.